What's the grossest thing you've ever seen someone bring to a potluck? Some kind of lasagna made by someone who had no clue what lasagna is. There were layers of pasta, but the rest was things like chicken, grated cheddar cheese, canned jalapenos, mushroom soup, frozen mixed vegetables, spicy mayo, etc. Someone made brownies with ground meat in them to a church potluck. My vegetarian friend discovered this when she bit into one. She was more confused and horrified about their existence than she was upset about eating meat. It was the concept of this abomination itself that was disturbing and baffling. I thought she had to be wrong. You haven't had ground beef in years, you don't know what it tastes like anymore, it's probably something else. I tried them. It was beef. I was disgusted and really confused. Years later, I found out that apparently this was a thing. Someone came up with this, putting beef in brownies as a substitute for walnuts for people with nut allergies. While this explains it a little, in theory, I'm still confused about why someone would assume that people who can't eat walnuts would prefer to eat ground beef brownies over just regular nut-free brownies. We had a lady who made her special PB fudge. But she wouldn't put it out with all the food. She would walk around with her Tupperware and offer the people she liked a piece. Not more than one piece you were allowed to take. If she didn't like you, you didn't get one. This went on for years. The last year she worked there, we all decided to say no thank you when she approached us. Oh, and two of us brought fudge for everyone at the table spread. She was furious that we foiled her shitty efforts. Casserole with a side of roaches. Not even kidding. They crawled out of the bag she brought her dish in. I stopped participating in potlucks after that. An office potluck, as everyone is eating, one of the girls says, "I'm sorry if you find ant cat hair in the green bean casserole." My cat kept getting up on the counter to nibble at the edges. Cue everyone looking at each other like WTF. Grandma's Jello salad, made with cottage cheese and celery. My cousin's wife wanted to make pimento cheese sandwiches for a Super Bowl party. Problem is she had no idea what went into pimento cheese and refused to go to the store because it couldn't be that hard. So she mixed a bag of shredded cheese, an ungodly amount of mayonnaise, and for the little red bits, maraschino cherry halves, face vomiting, then dumped approximately a half cup of garlic salt in for good measure. I thought they were a dessert because they were pink and couldn't figure out what a pink sandwich would be. It was truly one of the worst things I've ever put in my mouth. I'll fall on that sword. I brought shepherd's pie to a Christmas party and thought it festive to color the mashed potatoes green. Had a friend show up with his wife's specialty. It was deviled ham and cheese whiz scooped onto a Ritz. They were also made some time ahead because the crackers were no longer crisp. To make it worse, he walked around with them and his wife telling everyone to try them. That was the night I learned that it will be okay to strategically lie about having food allergies. Lime jello with Vienna weenies and cherry tomatoes in it. Half of a pie. Not half of a pie that was sold that way by the bakery. A leftover half-eaten pie. Supposedly ambrosia, but it was just Cool Whip with those red and green candied cherries they sell around Christmas. Georgetown University faculty party. We had a potluck today and someone brought some Doritos. People started eating them and complaining that they tasted like dirt. We looked at the bag and it had a promo for Mockingjay Part 1. The chips expired in 2014. This was a mixed department potluck and we haven't found the person that brought the 9-year-old chips. She opened a can of tiny shrimp and poured it out, liquid and all, on top of a block of cream cheese. That was it. I guess we were supposed to eat it with crackers. An apple pie, but they didn't have apple pie spices like clove, cinnamon, or nutmeg, and said they used taco seasoning by accident and expected people to eat it. I, a dumb bitch who likes to torture themselves, tried it, and promptly tossed it into the trash when they looked away. Cold pasta salad seasoned with cat hair. My sister would bring 2 crock pots. One with spaghetti sauce, the other with water and the noodles. The noodles would be cooking in the water all day. A custard pie that wasn't made well, so it tasted like cold eggs. It was like chewing farts. Nauseated face. Church social. Chicken wings baked so dry they looked like mummified body parts. Someone brought deviled eggs and instead of sprinkling paprika on them they used cinnamon. Hot dogs in a crock pot. You haven't lived until you've had a melt in your mouth hot dog. A dessert made to look like a cat's litter box. It had Tootsie Roll poop hanging off of the sides. Their heroin addict girlfriend who didn't bathe in 3 years. My husband and I went to a potluck at a park shelter one time. Someone had brought vegetables and dip. I was reaching for some when my husband nudged me and told me to look closely. There were bugs all in the vegetables. I don't think they were from being outside because none of the other food had bugs. I think whoever brought the platter either didn't notice the vegetables were full of bugs, or didn't care. Grandma brought the 1-year-old fruitcake she kept in a glass bowl covered in foil out from under her bed to the family potluck. When the foil came off, everyone gagged as it smelled like booze and death, and then she lit it on fire and poured cream on it and insisted everyone try it. It was simultaneously super dry and sopping wet, tasted like hand sanitizer, and had the texture of cat litter. Liver stroganoff. A Korean-American co-worker brought homemade kimchi, but she admittedly didn't know how to make it and just winged it. It was fermented wrong and was covered in mold, which she didn't seem to understand was bad. The vegetables were basically half liquefied and it smelled like dumpster juice. The thing is, half of the chefs at work had learned to make kimchi correctly and safely since various different kimchis used to be on the menu before she was hired. So we all instantly knew it was wrong and unsafe, but no one wanted to tell her. Homemade fried chicken, which translated to chicken that I covered in pancake batter and breadcrumbs and dropped into a fry pan until the outside looked cooked. It wasn't even seasoned. A salad that consisted of shredded carrots, Miracle Whip, and raisins. I'm sorry Grandma, but fuck that salad. Chicken spaghetti crockpot with camel soup, dry packets of onions or something in it. Fucking nasty. It was Halloween party and they brought a jack-o'-lantern shaped meatloaf thing. It was just unseasoned ground beef. I still feel bad for one of the office ladies who once brought ice-cold green bean casserole not knowing her crock pot was never turned on. After this, she literally brought 2 cans of green beans, a bowl, and a can opener. Of course no one ever ate the canned green beans after she stood at the microwave warming them up for 8 minutes or however long. At a later several-year reunion, she was still working there and had gray hair. And it occurred to me in that moment that she never had much in life. Life isn't lucky or full of joy for everyone. Mushroom and wild rice full of dog hair. Not a strand or 2. But full of dog hair. Turns out she ran a sanctuary or something, face vomiting. Himself. Always first in line, plate big enough to feed 2 people. Never brought even a bottle of soda. Called him out on it once. He had no shame. My grandmother-in-law. Everything she brings. The first time was stale cake in a bowl of syrup. It was both cake and soup, while also being neither. She has meat in her deep freezer older than some of her grandchildren. She's a Depression-era cook, so expiration dates don't apply to medicine, cupboards, or freezers. Once she tried to give my daughter, 2 at the time, cough medicine that expire 9 years before she was even born. I once made a brain dip for a work afternoon tea on Halloween. It was a homemade onion and herb dip with paprika that made it pink and used a large brain mold. It looked quite realistic. Very few ate it because it looked too real. Dude made chili on Saturday for the potluck on Thursday. Fuck you, Larry. potato salad, with multiple hairs from his head, I hope. I just know they were human hairs, and they were tight and curly. My Cambodian co-worker brought chicken feet. I felt bad for him because no one would try them. I mustered up the courage and had one. It is the best part of the chicken. 10 out of 10 need to try. When I was in high school we had an Around the World Day and we were tasked to get in a group and make a dish from a chosen country. My group cooked at one girl's house. The condensed milk seemed a little weird but we used it anyways. As we were cleaning up we saw the can was 5 years expired but it was too late. My group was afraid to taste test it. Almost every kid had explosive diarrhea within a few minutes of Around the World Day ending. Some were crying. Nobody knew who poisoned the school but I'm suspicious it was us.